consider these sayings a bit old-fashioned, but I use 90% of these sayings in my life, and I've heard people in my life use them, and so yeah, they're not obscure, weird sayings. I don't know. It's also a fun fact, one of my favorite things to teach people that don't speak Italian is to teach them Italian sayings and Proverbs. So without further ado, let's jump into the first saying. So the very first saying is prendere due piccioni con una fava. Prendere due piccioni con una fava. I'm gonna use this in sentences to add to the Italian experience. Oggi sono andata alle poste e mentre ero fuori casa sono anche passata al supermercato. Così ho preso due piccioni con una fava. I just said today I went to the post office, and while I was already out, I also went to get some groceries. So I killed two birds with one stone. Now in Italian we say to get two pigeons, so we are specific about our birds. Prendere due piccioni con una fava. So you get two pigeons with one fava bean instead of killing two birds. Although I suppose once you catch the pigeons, you're then gonna eat them, I guess. I'm not sure, but it sounds a bit less brutal than just killing the birds, right? Anyway, the concept is exactly the same. Next, we've got non fasciarti la testa prima di essertela rotta. This is for all the anxious people and the people that worry out there. So, let's say, penso di non essere pronto. Oh, sorry. Let's pretend two friends are talking. The first friend says, sono preoccupato, non credo di aver passato l'esame e se non passo questo esame non potrò rifarlo fino alla prossima sessione. And the other friend says, non fasciarti la testa prima di essertela rotta. What that means is don't bind your head before breaking it. So in my little scenario, a friend was saying that they were worried about not having passed an exam, and so then being worried that they couldn't try again for the exam until the next exam session. And so the other friend says, don't bind your head before you've broken it, which I found online. You can translate it with, don't cross your bridges before you get to them. In other ways, we'll cross that bridge once we get there. So don't worry before the time. Don't worry for things that haven't happened yet, which is good advice for everybody, especially for me. Definitely, especially for me. Next is one of my favorites. I don't know why, I just really like how it sounds. So, say you're given two pretty similar options. Say you're at a shop and you're shopping for two dresses, and so the shopping assistant shows you one dress, and then she shows you, or they show you, wow, I just gendered the shop assistant, they show you quite a similar dress, and so you can say, se non è zuppa è pan bagnato. Se non è zuppa è pan bagnato. Maybe the little scene I set up is not quite the perfect scenario to let you understand this saying, but basically, se non è zuppa e pan bagnato means if it's not soup, it's wet bread. So it's like same, six of one and half a dozen of the other. I don't think this is quite common at all. Um, but it's like same, pretty much the same thing. Se non è zuppa è pan bagnato. This is also one of my favorites. Il lupo perde il pelo, ma non il vizio. Il lupo perde il pelo, ma non il vizio. Let me think of a setting. Giorgio è appena guarito dal raffreddore e si è rimesso subito a fumare. Il lupo perde il pelo ma non il vizio. Il lupo perde il pelo ma non il vizio means the wolf sheds its fur but it doesn't lose its vice. I don't know if that makes much sense when translated, but basically you like bad habits are hard to break, or like if someone has a bad habit they'll just repeat it. So in my little scene, this hypothetical person named Giorgio has just recovered from a cold, but they're straight back into smoking, and so bad habits are hard to break, I guess. I googled it and I found a leopard can't change its spots. So it's also like when something is in your nature, you can't break it. But this is specifically with vices and with bad habits and bad behaviors. It's like, oh, that guy is a womanizer. We thought that he was settling down, but then now he's back into dating and being a bit of a not so great guy, and so it's like il lupo perde il pelo ma non il vizio kind of thing. How that makes sense. Another one that I love and use, and my mom has always used this one. La gatta frettolosa ha fatto i gattini ciechi. La gatta frettolosa ha fatto i gattini ciechi, which is like, it's horrible. It's the hasty cat gives birth to blind cat. the image of a C in between the two things. You can also say, I guess, saying is one thing, doing is another. Very straightforward, yeah. I guess you can use any of these sayings to impress your Italian friend. I don't know. Tell them that Inferior ASMR taught you. Now this might be a bit controversial, a bit not too PC, but I guess it was created a long time ago. I don't know. But it's something that I've always heard, and I think I've used myself before. Chi va con lo zoppo impara a zoppicare. So like, say your mom, I don't know, you're a teenager and your mom is critical of a friendship you have because they deem that friend a bad influence. She might say, chi va con lo zoppo impara a zoppicare, which is, if you walk with someone limping, you learn to limp. Now, of course, limping is not a bad habit or a vice or anything like that, but yeah. So a translation I found online is, if you lie with dogs, you'll get up with fleas. Interesting images. But yeah, basically, if you be wary of who you surround yourself with and who you befriend, because bad habits and bad habits can rub on you, and before you know it, you're following in those bad habits. You're following that person in their bad decisions and stuff. Got two more. Another great everyday use, again for the hasty. It's kind of like the cat one for the hasty people. Kind of chi va piano va sano e va lontano. So say, yeah, you're rushing through the day and you're like frantically doing things, and your friend or your colleague can tell you chi va piano va sano e va lontano. And then as a child, they also used to tell me chi va forte va alla morte, which is a bit bleak, but let's unpack it. The ones who go slow, they are healthy and they can go far. So slow and steady wins the race, essentially. And then the little thing that I added, they used to tell me as a child, or like, I don't know, as a child we would say, chi va piano va sano e va lontano, chi va forte va alla morte. Chi va forte va alla morte means, if on the other hand you're frantic and hasty and you rush it, you go straight to death. Like, straight to death. That's it, just like straight up. But yeah, slow and steady wins the race. And then the very, very last one, I just couldn't find a translation that makes sense, so there is not too old-timey. So maybe with this one, I'm asking for your help. Say you're in a situation where you're struggling to make two parts agree on something, and so you come to a compromise, but it's really like you really scrap together a compromise. It's really not the greatest for either parts, but you just have to. You would say salvare capre e cavoli. Salvare capre e cavoli. So let's say, trying to think, I don't know, Maria vuole andare in montagna, and Giorgio, again, vuole andare al mare. Per salvare capre e cavoli siamo andati al lago. Maria wanted to have her vacation in the mountains. Giorgio wanted to have a vacation by the sea. So, to find a compromise and just to save the situation, we went to the lake. Now the lake clearly doesn't, it's not what Giorgio wanted and it's not what Maria wanted, but it's just a compromise just to save the vacation and the holiday altogether. And so salvare capre e cavoli literally translates to save goats and cabbages. I think it's just the nature of the two things being just very different, goats and cabbages. But I just can't find a way of saying this in English, so maybe if you know it, comment it down below. That would be very helpful. Okay guys, these were 10 Italian sayings, Italian proverbs. Let me know which one was your favorite. Let me know if you knew any of them. I think it's really funny how each language has a lot of the times the same sayings, but they just choose different words and different ways of expressing the same concept. I find that really fascinating. So let me know down below if you have any funny sayings in